Welcome back. And today's lecture, we will not learn anything new, but we will repeat some of the JavaScript terminology that we used so far in the lectures. Now, first things, let's start with functions. Now, create a lecture8.js file and link it here if you're following me, okay? Now, if you read somewhere, declare a function, right? So what does this mean? Right, let's write a function here. Function first function, and that's pretty much it. Now every function start with a function keyword, then we name the function, and these brackets means okay, we have a function, and inside here they can take an argument. These curly brackets on the other hand means the body of the function, right? And declaring a function means create that function and naming that function. That what means declaration of a function. Okay, now let's talk about the function arguments. Now we can have 1, 2, or more arguments, or we don't need arguments at all, like this function here. So let's create another function called second function, and inside this function I will have name and age. So the arguments are spaced between by and separated by comma, right? Now when we are calling this function, we need to call this function together with the arguments, and that is pretty much the third step, and it's called call or invoke the function, right? So when we do that, we say second function, second function, and we need to use the parentheses. This means call and execute this function, but inside we need to put the parameters, or sorry, the arguments. So let's put Rick and 23. That is pretty much it. Now if you go back to a browser, you're not gonna see anything. Why? Because we call the function, but there is nothing in the function, and that is called body of the function. Very good. Now the body of the function, we can have multiple lines, and let's just comment this one out, paste it here, or actually I'm gonna create a new one, right? Third function that will take name and age, and we're gonna call that third function right below here, and let's put here Andy and 29. Okay, so the body of a function goes multiple lines of code. Here is our logic. So I'm just gonna console.log the name, and I'm gonna concatenate, and he is an age here. Nice. So now you should be able to see Andy is we don't need this one. Andy is 29 years old, right? We can concatenate this one, years old. Very good. So this is how you declare a function first, then you choose the arguments if you want arguments, then you call or invoke the function like this, and the third is the body of the function. The body of the function can have multiple things based on our logic. Very good. Now we do have a function expression. Let's talk about that a little bit. And what do we have in a function expression? Well, we need to create a variable called function expression, and then the function. Very good. Now here, what is the difference between this and this? Well, this function doesn't have name, and it's called anonymous function, but it can have names, and I'm not going to do it here because that is not something that you're going to see anywhere, right? So how are we going to call this function? So call or invoke function expression, right? So how are we going to do this? Well, so we're going to invoke by the variable name. So everything that this function will return or produce, say let's return 5, or return and Sam here. I'm gonna say Sam, right? So this function will return something, and it will store here. So when we call the function, for example, var name, function expression, that's it, because we don't take any arguments here. We're not gonna send arguments there, right? Now in the name, I will get whatever it's stored, whatever is returned from this function. So if I do console log, just the name, I should have Sam, right? Very good. That is pretty much it. The third thing is expression. Let me just talk about this one. Let me just write it here. Oops. Assign a variable data to a variable. So how we do this? Well, we do it with equal sign. For example, var first name, it will be John. So this is how we are assigned the variable first name that to hold data John, right? So this is how we are assigning a data to a variable. Very good. Now, what is expression? Now, the expression means something that returns and produces a value and always needs to have a semicolon at the end, right? So this is called an expression. Okay, now let's talk about methods. Methods are functions inside an object. Very good. Now, let me write an object real quick here. So how we write an object with the curly brackets? So we have name, Rick, age 33, year, birth. This is going to be the function. Now, how we call the function inside an object? So they're called methods. Let's put here 1987. Just like that. Very good. Now, the last part, how the object access their methods. Object methods. Very good. So object dot year of birth. Very good. But we need to specify these curly brackets because not curly brackets, these brackets, because this means that we are just calling a function, right? Nice. Save it. Here it is. The function will produce that. So that is pretty much it. The last thing that I want to mention is the arrays. How are we declaring an empty array? Array and var are my array, and this will be an empty array, and the arrays have their own indexes. Let's put var second array, and let's say here Jimmy, Tommy. Very good. So if we want to access the first item of this array, they're index based, so these are called items. Inside they're spaced with comma and they're index based, so arrays are always index based. So if I want to access any of the items there, then I need to know the index. But what is good, they always start from 0. And so what we can do, so we can console log the second array, and in this square brackets we need to say 0 if I want to access Jimmy. Very good. Now I have Jimmy. If I want to access Tommy, it will be number 1. Also, what I haven't shown you, if you want to know the length of the array, you can say second array dot length, and it should give you the result of 2. Why? Because we do have console.log second array, we do have array of length 2. Here it is. We have 2 items inside. The length is 2. That's why I can use this method here straight away on the arrays. So that's pretty much it for this lecture. I hope you enjoy it. You need to get used to this terminology, and because you will use it pretty much everywhere. So see you soon.